Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Spitting Venom, and here we are again with Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions edition. And again, keeping the intro in here, it buys me some time to kind of shoot the crap a little bit with you at first, and kind of get my thoughts together for this episode, because basically how I record these is I edit the episode, how it's going to be, and then I play it in front of me without any audio. And I just talk over it, almost like a commentary track. Only typically with commentary, you might have like headsets on listening. But I'm kind of just going off the visuals, because I think this game, even though it came out in the late 90s, the visuals still hold up for me. And then also the cutscenes, like we're actually going to see a really gorgeous one in this episode at the end. The cutscenes that were added, much later on in the War of the Lions edition are just as beautiful. I mean, they're so amazing. But the gameplay itself, I'm surprised. It still holds up. It's still a lot of fun to watch. It's still, I think they did a good job designing this for the ages. Like normally when you play an older game, you kind of scoff a little bit at the visuals. You kind of laugh a little bit at them because you're like, oh, they're so dated. They're so this or that. But they did such a great job stylizing this that it doesn't really age in a way, but like in a good way. Like when you watch it, you're not like, all right, yes, you can instantly look at it and say that's definitely an older game, but since it looks so good and the effects on it are so nice, and like they have these little text over it when the characters are talking, they did a good job doing all that. Instead of adding voice actors back then and doing things that could age poorly, they decided to do something that aged well, and that's really great. I don't know if the director of this movie, if the director of this game and the team that worked on it thought about that and thought about how, it'll age, or if they were just like, hey, we want to make the best game we can with the tools we have now. I'm going to guess that they went that route, but little did they know this game was going to survive and look still so great after all these years. And again, I'm playing this on my phone. I'm blown away that this is the mobile version of the game. It's a lot of fun, and it's just as good as I remember it, if not better, which is amazing. So if you're out there and you have a modern, I guess, phone, you can download this, or at least as I'm recording this in 2019. I don't know if you're watching this like 20 years from now somehow, or listening to this, you probably won't be able to play it mobily. I don't know if it'll be re-released or anything, but it's only like $12, and I would say it's worth every penny. Definitely pick it up. But so to pick up where the story was, obviously our brothers got involved. We play as Ramza. We're in the past right now. What I call present day, as we talked about in the last episode, is what's happening still not even in present day. Present day technically is Alazlam, the guy who's like the scholar in the future, and he's trying to find out what really happened during the War of Lions, because he knows what the church told him, and he knows what the books and history books tell him and society tells him, but he feels there's more to this story, and so he's peeling back the layers. So we go back in time to when Ramza witnesses a princess get kidnapped, and she's kidnapped by his former best friend. So now that was at the beginning of Chapter 1. We're in the middle of Chapter 1 now. I would say this is technically Mission 2, which is we're trying to save the Marquis Elmador. And so this is taking place before. It's showing that friendship that Ramza and Delita have, leading up to the moment where he witnesses Delita's return and kidnapping the princess. So we've kind of gone back a little bit more. But I like that story of, that style of storytelling. It's really nice. It's not too confusing. I know I word it in a confusing way. Hopefully I'm trying to be as clear as possible. But that's the story. It really captivates you. It brings you in really fast. You see the beginning when the princess gets captured. He's like, hey, wait a minute, I know that guy. And then you're like, how does he know that guy? And then it takes you back to show you that they were best friends. And that's the story we're learning now. And this level here is really awesome. I actually like this level because we trapped these guys in here. These guys are in the sand rat pit area, like the cellar of the sand rat, I think is what it's called. And they all kind of are, a bunch of knights and stuff, and maybe like an archer or two, but they're all inside that building, and your team is kind of surrounding it. And I like that they did that, because you can just basically move your team up to the doorways and block the villains from getting out. And then if you have a mage like I do back there, you can just cast a bunch of stuff on the people inside and destroy them all in bulks. Like you don't have to fight them one-on-one. You can just have one person block the door and take all the hits, and then you can have the mages just light them up with like fire and thunder and stuff. And it's really nice. It's a good strategy, I would say, on this level, especially if you can pull it off. But it's also good to have an archer and some knights on your team as well. But definitely bring a mage if you can. A white mage to heal your guys if you need it, but definitely a black mage to light up the villains for sure. And if you don't bring a white mage, just make sure some of your teammates have potion, like they know the ability potion and Phoenix Down in case anybody drops. And I would say that's a good strategy for any level. Make sure at least 2 or 3 people know the abilities of potion and Phoenix Down. So what we have here is Gustav and Wygraf, and so we already ran into Wygraf. We kind of let him go. That was kind of, or something earlier. We were talking to one of his swordsmen who was talking about Wygraf and Gustav. And Gustav is part of the Corpse Brigade, and he has gone extreme. Basically, he is like, all right, I'm going to kidnap the Marquis of Elmdor, or Marquis Elmdor, who's the old man there on the right with the white hair. He's going to speak here in a moment. But, Gustav is like, I'm going to take him and we're going to, get the money and honor that we deserve of our men. And Wygraf is not like that. Wygraf is an honorary soldier from the 50-Year War who is an enemy to Ramza and his family and stuff. But he's still like, I have my honor and I'm not going to give up my honor. So he himself comes to the rat cellar and says to Gustav, look, we're not doing this. And so you saw there, he had that sweet move where he dodged the blow and then stabbed Gustav right through the chest. And he's now bargaining for his life. He's like, look, if you take the Elmdor, the Marquis Elmdor over here, you can have him. I never meant to kidnap him. This was done by radicals in my group. I came and put them down like the dogs they are. If you take the Marquis, I'll just let me leave. Is that a fair trade? And they're like, sure, but you see, Argoth here is not about it. He's still trying to earn back the honor of his family, and he wants to butcher every enemy of the crown, of their civilization, every enemy that's trying to confront them. He wants to take them down because he's trying to wipe a stain from his own family's reputation. And so, Ramza and Delita, though, are like, let him go. It's not worth the battle. He did give us the Marquis back. That's what our goal was. So let's just let him go. And Argoth is not happy about that. So they go back to Dicedarg, Ramza's brother here, the one who's kind of starting to take charge. I mean, obviously we know he has Zalbag. There's 2 brothers, but Dicedarg is kind of stepping into his father's role. Like our father passed away, and Dicedarg is like, all right, I'm gonna kind of step up and do what's right, and make sure there's no power struggle and everything within our community and our land, and we need a firm hand here. So he's coming in, and you're gonna find out he's coming in with some plots too. He's plotting some things that he's keeping hidden from his brother Ramza. And like I said, Dicedarg here, he's kind of more of a man of the cloth, so they call him Lord Brother. But then the other brother, who's Zalbag, he's more of a general, and we'll get more of him later on and into future chapters. But then we get introduced to this new character here, which is the Duke, I believe, Duke Lard. And he's another man of the cloth. And again, if you think about it, in the future, all these men of the cloth, all these church, faith-believing men, they are the ones who eventually erase Ramza from the history books. And that's why the scholar from the future, Alazlam, that's why he's researching this. He believes Ramza's, what he's done in this war has been erased for whatever the church purposes are. And so you kind of look at these men in a different way, knowing that you're like, all right, which of these men are actually plotting against Ramza or just plotting in general? And so then you start to peel back the layers here with, his brother here and also Duke Lard. And so you can see there's like this, this professionalism between these two, but they definitely hint at something dark coming. And they were about to scold Ramza, or at least Dicedarg was about to scold Ramza about getting involved. Hey, I told you not to go after the Marquis. What did you do? This was not your mission. And the Duke comes in and says, you know what? It's okay. We were young men once. We fought battles, in the 50-Year War and everything. Like, we weren't unlike them. Give them a pass and put them in the ranks and give them something to do. And so, so Dicedarg's like, fine. All right, you guys can actually be part of the group now, part of the army. And we're going to send you to meet this woman named Maluda, who is going to be the enemy you fight in this one, in the Brigand's Den, which I think was originally called Thieves' Fort in the older versions, but now it's called Brigand's Den. And so Ramza now has, and there's Maluda there, and she's kind of this knight one of the last remnants, the Corpse Brigade, is being taken down. They're almost finished. Wygraf is still out there somewhere, but some of his men have been scattered, and they're there's no leadership anymore. Everything's kind of fallen apart for them, and that's where Dysadarg wants to strike back. Hey, they took the Marquis, and these are enemies left over from the 50-year war. Let's just go and erase them all. And Argoth, of course, is so happy about that, but Ramza and Delita aren't. They still question the morality of their actions, and I guess that's what makes them the more fascinating heroes in this, and anti-heroes in a way, if you want to count Delita as an anti-hero. So we're attacking Maluta's den here. In this battle, it can be tough because they have mages too, and they have people who can cast spells, and they'll cast stop on you. They'll prevent you from attacking. They'll cast slow on you. They got thieves who can charm you. And charm means basically brainwashing you until you get hit, and either they hit you or your teammates hit you, and that's how you uncharm yourself. And I have a thief on my team, and so I definitely try to charm when I can. I didn't have a thief in this battle, but I after this battle I was like, ooh, a thief would be really good on my team. So I worked my way to leveling up some of my guys so that they could become thieves. It's not a bad profession to have in your group, that's for sure. But with everything that's going on, Ramza and Delita, they're just questioning their morals. Like, what are we doing, and is it right? Is it really righteous to do these things that we're doing, that we're being told to do? And where do we stand? When do we make a stand even? And they do that constantly with Argoth. Argoth is, I think, for Ramza, as each mission goes by, they kind of were friendly at first, and then each mission that passes, Ramza's like, this guy is just too extreme for me. Like, he's too devoted to clearing the stain of his family's name that he is willing to just blindly listen to things if it means putting him in the good graces of my brothers and the church and everything. And Ramza's just, he doesn't think that way. He's just not like that. He's very much like a hero in the sense that when you give a hero, especially a hero like Superman, let's say, you give them option A and B, they're going to find an option C. And same with like Batman. Batman does that, Wonder Woman does that, a lot of superheroes will do that. You give them option A and B, and they come up with the C solution. And sometimes the C solution blows up in your face, absolutely. Like in the case of, like Spider-Man sometimes, or the Fantastic Four. Some of these characters do the right thing, or they find option C, or even Superman, and then that doesn't really work out in the long run either. But it's still, I feel like, that shows someone who isn't just a sheep. And typically heroes aren't sheep, in a lot of cases they will try to think for themselves and do what they feel is right according to their morals, and that often leads to an option C in my mind. And so Ramza is that guy. He's option C, and Argoth is option A or B, and he's chosen one. And Delita is becoming option A and B. He's kind of the gray area guy sometimes, but then after what happens coming up, you're going to see that it pushes him too far over the edge, and he starts his decline into basically anti-heroism or villainry. And I would say definitely by the end of the story, he's a villain for sure. I mean, it's hard to admit that because I like the character so much. But yeah, I would say he's like a villain. He starts off like a Red Hood kind of villain, where it's like anti-hero-ish, but he ends up like Doctor Doom in a way, where you're kind of like, oh, okay. Or maybe Lex Luthor, sticking it to DC. Well, not sticking it to DC, but sticking with DC characters for this metaphor. I would say he starts off like Red Hood and maybe ends up like a Lex Luthor almost in his final actions of the game, which is heartbreaking because you really root for the character, throughout the game. So to see him fall is really hard. But this battle was a long one. I think a couple of my guys, I know Argoth died right away, because the thing is, when you're leveling your characters up in this game, your character levels up. You can bring them to other battles, and you can, you can't bring Argoth and Delita into battle with you. The game won't let you, max them out or level them up. So you have to bring in like your B squad and stuff. So you're bringing in like your mage and, and I wouldn't even say they're B squad. They're definitely my A squad now. Argoth and Delita are my B squad because they're the weaker ones. But you can't level them up. So when you go into a battle like this, they're at the level you're supposed to be in this battle. and that's why they get taken out so easily, because this battle's supposed to be hard. But for me, my characters were so leveled up by this point that this battle was not hard for me. It did take a while to get through it, but it wasn't hard. And you see Ramza got the final blow there on Maluda, but you're going to see that, they question Maluda. Again, they feel like the Court Brigade is kind of done. They're like, hey, Wygraf is out there. He kind of left in a semi-honorable way. He stopped, an extremist in your group and everything. And Maluda here is kind of still in that extreme mentality a little bit. And she the presence of these guys makes her sick. And Argoth is like, come on, just kill her. Like, we don't need her. We were sent here on a mission. She's an enemy of the House of Belv. Just take her out. And Ramza, again, is like, I'm not an executioner. Like, we caught her. We stopped her. Her men are gone. We wiped them out. I would rather her leave alive. And even Delita is like that. He's like, this woman is no more, Chattel than you are. So he's like, she's not a charlatan. She's just a person doing her duty, and her duty is just opposing our duty. And we need to respect that in a way and let her keep her honor. And Argoth is not about that. He's like, no freaking way does she get to keep her honor while, my family's honor has been stained and sullied. And even Delita here Ramza here is questioning a little bit, like, Delita, should we have done it? Because again, remember, in the chapter 1 here, Ramza's journey into being a hero is questioning what he's doing. He questions almost everything. And so he's like, was Argoth right? So Ramza's kind of in the middle. Delita seems like option A, and Argoth is option B, and Ramza's trying to find option C here, but he's struggling with it. So he's like, hey, should we have let her go? Maybe I'm second guessing myself now. And that does come back later, because we are going to fight her again in the next episode. We're going to fight Maluda. But here we have, while Ramza and his team are away, we have the House of Belv being attacked. Their castle is being attacked. And Zalbag, you see here, he comes out and he, defends his sister Alma, but she just admits, hey, Tietra was taken. Delita's sister was actually taken. They took the wrong girl. They came in for Alma, but they mistook Delita for Alma. And then we see here, Daisadard, our other brother, has been wounded from the battle. So they came in, like, hidden, like, whether there's like a traitor inside the castle or not, they don't know, but these guys got in. They got all the way past the gates, all the way up into the castle, struck down Daisadard. Luckily, he's still going to live. He's just wounded. And then you have his brother, here, Zalbag and Alma, who are also Ramza's brother and sister, and they're going to take him back inside to let him rest and heal up. So yeah, again, it's called Brigand's Den, that level, but I feel like it was called Thieves' Fort before. And Mondalia Plains, so basically, that's that map right there. If you walk up to Mondalia Plains, I could have been sucked into a random battle there. And that's where you level up. So basically, in between missions, a lot of times, I'll just run back and forth between locations on the map just to keep leveling up. And that's how my characters keep, getting up there. And I would say it's good to level up in the beginning, maybe get somewhere between level 10 and 15 before you fight the final boss in Chapter 1. But at this point, you want to be around at least level 7 or 8, I would say, just to get through that last battle with a little bit of challenge, but also winning without getting frustrated. But yeah, so here we have Daisadard, and he's telling us, like, hey, Tietra was kidnapped. We already sent a squad. They're going in, and Ramza's like, wait, but if you send a squad that isn't us, like, we'll go in and we'll, it's Delita's sister. Like, we will protect her. We will make sure she's not hurt during this. And Daisadard's like, don't worry, I love Tietra. She's like a sister to me too. Basically telling Ramza what he wants to hear. Because again, we know this guy's kind of plotting something. We just don't know what yet, and we don't know to what degree, and if it's for good or for ill or both. We don't know yet. So it's still trying to peel back the layers on that character. But he's definitely gained sympathy here by being wounded, and he's kind of using that to his advantage in a way. But he also feels slighted by these enemies, so he's like, all right, we do got to get them. I want them struck down. And unfortunately for him, if Delita's sister gets in the way, are they really going to try to save her? She's a commoner. Does it really matter? If it was Alma, obviously they would be very careful going in for an attack. But it's Delita's sister, it's Tietra, and it seems to Ramza and Delita that care is not being taken. And of course, Argoth has to come out and instigate things and say like, hey, well, I don't care who she is. She's a commoner. And I think if they were smart, they would send in a squad to kill her, like, and just kill her to get to the bad guy. And Delita does not like hearing that. So he knocks the dude out and he's like, dude, are you serious? That's my sister. And he's like, yeah, but she's a commoner. She's not a belv. She's nobody special. And we need to kill our enemies. And if she's in the way, I'm just saying we might not have a choice. And Delita's like, take it back, dude, take it back. And he's trying to get Ramza, like, come on, Ramza, tell him. And Ramza's like, no, Delita is my friend. He's been my friend since we were kids. He's like a brother to me. And he's like, and then so he had Delita here kind of looking at Ramza and saying like, yeah, not everyone's like you, Argoth. People with honorable blood and, part of the royal family, there are some of them that are still human, like my friend Ramza here. And so he goes off. But Argoth's like, look, I'm going to go join this brigade. I'm going to go hunt down these bad guys. Here's where they're located. If you want to join us, hopefully your senses, clear up and you come join us and help us take this guy down. And, Ramza's like, no, like not if it means putting Tietra's life at stake. I'm going to put my own group together and we're going to sneak in from a different, route to that location. And we're going to try to save her. And, Argoth's like, yeah, sure. Okay. Good luck, buddy. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going to leave off in this episode. So what we have here is a beautiful cutscene. And yeah, you can see I hit the record there. I'm turning the volume up. I left all that in because unfortunately I did it all during a cutscene that I wasn't expecting, actually. When this first started, I was just like messing with my settings and I was like, oh crap, it's here it is. But yeah, this is a really great scene. It's one of my favorite scenes from the original game, which was not done in this style. Obviously, like the scene outside that we just watched, where it was Argoth and Delita and Ramza all talking outside the castle. This scene was done just like that. Like it was just an over-the-head, in-game graphic-looking cutscene with word balloon dialogue. So the fact that they went and animated this is amazing. And they got Phil Lamar to do the voice of Ramza and Robin Downs to do the voice of Delita, who is amazing. I love him and his work from the Metal Gear Solid games. And same with Phil Lamar. These guys work really well together, so it was really cool. And then he says, "'Tis my meager." That's like a kind of a reference to the chapter title, which is called Chapter 1, The Meager. But you have Ramza here feeling helpless. I can't help my sister. I'm not of royal blood. I can't forge an army. I can't go after her and save her. What am I to do? And Ramza's like, don't worry. I'm here. I'm going to help you do that. I have royal blood, and I stand with my friends. So are you with me? And Delita's kind of like, yes. And he goes, remember when your father showed us how to make a whistle out of a blade of grass? And Ramza's, doesn't even have to say anything. He's like, yeah, because that was a unifying moment for them as children. And, something his father taught them is that just because they're different bloodlines doesn't mean they can't act like brothers. And so I like this scene. It's really well done. I love the style of it. And I'm glad they animated this scene in particular because there's a lot of emotion in it. And that's where we leave off in this episode. So make sure you tune into the next one where we are going to conclude Chapter 1 and we're going to finish up the first chapter of Final Fantasy Tactics. I cannot wait to share that with you guys because it's really crazy. You won't believe what happens. Will we save Tietra? Will we not? Find out in the next episode. See you then. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. See you in the future. Peace.